Part 66. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 651. Chapter 651 A Lesson from Reality. Did you really do that? So what, is it still interesting to say this now? Yun Huan turned around and looked at Yeziaksun. So what if I assumed your identity? Fan Zian still fell in love with me. Even if you tell him the truth now, he may not have any feelings for you. If it had been the case back then. Even if you tell him, you may not be together. In the end, all this is just because Fan Zian is interested in me. Before Yun Huan finished speaking, Yeziaksun stood up angrily and slapped Yun Huan on the face. That's enough for you, don't you still feel that you have done something wrong? Yeziaksun gritted his teeth and said, his eye circles red with anger. His body was shaking uncontrollably due to excessive anger. Yeziaksun's action shocked everyone present. Yeziaksun has always been the kind of quiet, gentle, and weak girl, but he didn't expect that she would completely explode today. Even if a rabbit is anxious, it will bite. Do not think so. Yun Huan said and was about to turn around and leave. Xia Ying took Yun Huan's arm, and Yun Huan turned back and looked at Xia Ying with gritted teeth. In the end, what you want? Apologizing when you do something wrong is a rule that even kindergarten children understand. Xia Ying said coldly. Impossible. Yun Huan spoke firmly. Xia Ying smiled slightly, since I can investigate in such a short period of time that you are unknown to Yunchen, and I can also know the shady things you do behind your back. Then what do you think, if I send you to prison, I need to how long? Yun Huan's pupils shrank instantly. Because of Xia Ying's words, she began to panic. At this moment, Yun Huan suddenly felt that Xia Ying was very scary. Obviously she is just an ordinary rich lady on the surface, but no one knows how many unknown things are hidden under her beautiful appearance. You want to bring me down? Yun Huan took a deep breath and said. I just want you to pay the price you deserve, Xia Ying said calmly. If you do something wrong, you must be responsible. You are not a special being. You will only make people think you are ridiculous and ignorant. That's all. Yun Huan glanced at everyone, and everyone looked at her with hateful eyes. Yun Huan bit her lower lip, holding back the words I'm sorry through her teeth, and turned around and ran away the next second. Xia Ying stood there and had no intention of chasing her. Did you let her go so easily? At this time, a girl clenched her fist angrily and said. Will not. Xia Ying said calmly, she will naturally receive the punishment she deserves. After Xia Ying finished speaking, she walked towards Yeziaksun again. Now that something like this happens, the person who is most hurt is none other than Yeziaksun. Yeziaksun lowered his head and sobbed silently, his shoulders shaking uncontrollably. Xia Ying walked up to Yeziaksun, put her arm around Yeziaksun's shoulders, and comforted her softly. This is your coming-of-age ceremony, the most realistic gift. Life has taught this young girl a cruel lesson. It's not that you can reap good things by being kind to others. Sometimes, the person who hands you flowers actually poisons the pollen. Yeziaksun has always been kind and innocent. But even because she is too kind and innocent, she cannot see people clearly and is easily taken advantage of. Yeziaksun nodded, then hugged Xia Ying, leaned on Xia Ying's shoulder, and began to sob. No one expected that what was originally a happy birthday party would end like this in the end. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 652. Chapter 652 No need to force old cows to eat young grass. After Xia Ying and Yeziaksun said goodbye, they sat in the car going home and looked at the gorgeous lights outside the car window, and couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Things that I have been guarding against before have finally come to an end. Yeziaksun's tragic fate in her previous life was finally avoided, and Xia Ying felt particularly peaceful at the moment. However, Yu Lingfeng on the side could not calm down. Jun Chennai is about to go to the United States to film a movie, and Xia Ying is about to go to college. But the person who wanted to harm them has never been found. Yu Lingfeng had installed a positioning chip on the Shadow Hunter before. Yu Lingfeng originally thought that he could find their camp through this method. As a result, he found that he still thought of this matter too simply. The Shadow Hunter died on the way, and committed suicide. Yu Lingfeng thought that he probably realized that he had tampered with him. Sure enough, he is not an ordinary person. He is much more vigilant and defensive than ordinary people. Therefore, in order to save the organization, he chose to sacrifice. When Yu Lingfeng arrived, he frowned when he saw his body. This means that they are currently in a completely passive state. As long as the other party takes no further action, they have no other clues and can only follow the other party's whereabouts step by step. On the first day Jun Chennai went to the United States, he received a call from his uncle. Jun Chennai's relationship with other uncles in the family is very unfamiliar, but this eldest uncle is the only one with whom Jun Chennai is very close. The eldest uncle is currently in charge of the Jun family temporarily on behalf of Jun Chennai. Perhaps because of this, Jun Chennai has received a lot of care from his eldest uncle since he was a child. Chen Yi, I heard from your parents that your marriage to the daughter of the Xia family is ruined. Hearing this, Jun Chennai sighed helplessly. Uncle, did you listen to what my parents said, so you came over to persuade me to pursue her again? Of course, Chen Yi, Xia Ying is your best choice. Moreover, she has also entered the University of Tokyo. You will still be classmates in the future, so you can seize the time to launch an offensive against her. Jun Chennai was helpless. My parents told you that she already has a boyfriend, right? Boyfriend and future husband are two different concepts. Not many people can talk about their first love until the end, not to mention that you are so good. As long as you take the initiative, how can there be a girl you can't chase? Having said that, I have already worked hard in high school. She and her current boyfriend are very good, and there is no way I can break them up. After Jun Chennai said this, he lay down on the soft sofa behind him, feeling powerless all over his body. Rong Ci was squeezing juice aside. After squeezing it, he handed Jun Chennai a glass. Jun Chennai took it. I don't believe she can really stay with that guy for a long time. Anyway, just keep working hard. The uncle spoke firmly. Jun Chennai smiled bitterly and said, forget it, I have already made plans for my future wife to be some kind of princess. Since his parents only gave him these two choices, he actually had no choice. Uncle became serious. The princess of country S is indeed good, but the negotiation has broken down. What? Jun Chennai raised his eyebrows, feeling inexplicably excited in his heart. Does this mean that he no longer has to force the old cow to eat young grass? Super plus enjoy. The king of country S seems to have other plans and does not intend to marry the little princess to you. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 653. Chapter 653 Waiting for the country to assign a girlfriend. What my parents said before. I had this plan before. After all, the economic development trend of country S has been very good in recent years. Our family has recently planned to expand the market to country S. Our Jun family is a famous family in China, and we originally thought it would be okay to have a little princess for him. Who knows, when discussing this matter with the king declined politely, saying that the princess had been engaged for a long time, which meant that there was no hope. The uncle continued. Jun Chennai secretly cheered and shouted in his heart. But the king expressed his appreciation for your talent, and there are many fans of yours in the royal family of country S. Since you can't marry the little princess in this way, it seems that the little princess's fiancé should be a very good person. Uncle held his chin and thought about something. Could it be Chu Shengming? He did know that the Chu family had a very good relationship with the royal family of country S. Many members of the Chu family had been awarded titles by the king. Although Chu Shengming is very low-key, he is a genius with a high IQ who is known as a national treasure. Therefore, he felt that this hidden fiancé was probably Chu Shengming. After all, only he can bear this honor. Jun Chennai didn't say much. He didn't care who the person was. Anyway, as long as it wasn't him, it was enough. The usual delicate young ladies are enough to give Jun Chennai a headache. If he is with a princess who has been cared for since childhood, he doesn't know how annoyed he will be. Next, the uncle explained some other daily matters to Jun Chennai. For example, he should study hard and gradually withdraw from the entertainment industry. He said that he must grow up to the point where he can finally take over the Jun family. He is no longer a child. Jun Chennai responded one by one, and then hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, Jun Chennai breathed a long sigh of relief. Rong Si looked at him. What did your uncle say to you that you are in such a good mood suddenly? Rong Si couldn't help but ask when he saw the smile that couldn't be hidden in Jun Chennai's eyebrows. Ha, uncle said, I don't have to marry that princess anymore. Jun Chennai said with a grin. Why? The words are incomprehensible. That princess already has a fiancé, so she is already a prostitute anyway. Jun Chennai continued, however, uncle still encouraged me to pursue Xia Ying. When Jun Chennai said this, he held his chin and sighed. Xia Ying is not easy to chase. Rong Si said with profound meaning. Jun Chennai raised his eyebrows and looked at Rong Si beside him. Someone seems to have tried to commit suicide before, right? Rong Si chuckled lightly and looked up at Jun Chennai. No, I'm just trying it for you. What the hell? Jun Chennai's face dropped. Is this still possible? What to try? Rong Si-yun smiled lightly. I have known for a long time that she is the future wife that my sister and brother-in-law have chosen for you, so before, I just wanted to find out about her character and personality. If you are lucky, you may also know how to deal with a girl like her, and I can give you some advice. Jun Chennai smiled disdainfully. You're really interesting. How can you, a single mother-in-law, know so much about girls? Help me? Come on. Rong Si's face darkened. I am an agent. I understand people's various personalities and find breakthrough points and weaknesses. Is this my professional quality? Why do some people always ignore his high status? Just because he is single? Damn, what's wrong with being single? Can't he wait for the country to assign a girlfriend? Thanks to the little cutie Xiaoswame, the story is still long. More rewards. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 654. Chapter 654. He is a very beautiful boy. Oh, then why are you still single? Jun Chennai spoke slowly and slowly, leaving him speechless and speechless. With a dark face, Rong Si took away the juice that had just been squeezed for him from Jun Chennai's hand, and said with a cold face, because I'm so good. Do you understand? Jun Chennai shouted behind Rong Si, then you should keep my juice. Rong Si didn't even look back. How could such a white-eyed wolf deserve to drink his juice? Taito University has started, and the servants of the Xia family have settled everything in the dormitory. Xia Ying only needs to walk around the campus and feel the atmosphere of the new campus. Chu Sensiu, as an old senior who graduated, spontaneously came over to be Xia Ying's tour guide. Yu Lingfeng wore a mask and followed Xia Ying. Along the way, Xia Ying and the others attracted countless eyes. The classmates at Taito University had also known about the news that Xia Ying was coming to Taito University for a long time, and they were excited for the entire summer vacation. Xia Ying is now a very popular figure in China. According to legend, she is a role model for other people's children. She is a young talented girl in the music industry. Her academic performance is also a standard academic master. Moreover, she has a superior family background and outstanding appearance. She is not here to go to school. She is simply here to people off. Wow, next to Xia Ying is Senior Chu Shenxiu. Yes, Senior Chu Shenxiu is Xia Ying's cousin. Are you super envious? Am I the only one who finds the guy wearing the mask so handsome? Even though he can't see his face, he has an awesome aura and is super powerful. Yes, yes, he is really handsome. Hey, Chu Shenxiu. At this time, a clear male voice sounded from behind. Xia Ying and the others turned around and saw that it was Su Emo. Wow, Senior Su Emo is here too. Senior Su Emo is still so handsome and charming. Senior Su Emo is my male idol. Su Emo, you are here too. Chu Shenxiu curled his lips and smiled. Xia Ying looked at Su Emo intently. The last time she saw him, he was wearing a baseball cap and looked very handsome. Today, Su Emo was not wearing a hat, and Xia Ying discovered that he had flamboyant silver hair. Sumo's skin was very white and delicate, with pores so small that they were almost invisible. Even girls envied his skin. Sumo's facial features were very delicate, and he looked like a pretty boy. Under Sumo's left eye, there was a small mole, which looked very charming in the blink of an eye. He is a very beautiful boy, really beautiful. Xia Ying felt that when Su Emo was a child, his mother couldn't help but dress him in women's clothes, because he was really more beautiful than the girls. Not long after I arrived, I met you on the road. As Su Emo said, his eyes fell on Xia Ying. Xia Ying looked at him and smiled politely. By the way, did the assassin from last time find the organization? As soon as Su Emo saw Xia Ying, he thought of what happened last time and couldn't help but ask. Yu Lingfeng shook his head. He died on the way. Su Emo frowned slightly and said nothing. Since Su Emo came over, he followed Xia Ying and the others around the campus. Taito University is very large and beautiful, and its architectural style combines Chinese and Western styles. It has a very academic and humanistic atmosphere without appearing too old-fashioned. He led everyone to the Art Academy. The Art Academy was very westernized, with the architectural style of the Central European century. You can clearly feel the strong artistic atmosphere at the door. Various sculptures and paintings can be seen everywhere. So beautiful. Xia Ying sighed sincerely. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 655. Chapter 655 Suji. Xia Ying looked for music and came to the classroom of the music department. Not long after school started, there were already people practicing music alone in the classroom. Xia Ying stood in front of the window and looked at the source of the music. She was a fairy-like girl with long hair and white clothes. Xia Ying looked at the girl's profile. She had smooth lines and delicate and soft features. The sunlight outside the window shone on her body. In the light and shadow, the girl looked like an elf. Xia Ying's eyes lit up when she looked at the girl. She also played the piano very well. Xia Ying was impressed by her music first, and then by her appearance. There are not many beautiful girls in this world, but some people may think she is beautiful, while others think she is average. But temperament is the last thing that can deceive people. As long as you stand in a crowd, a girl with temperament will be the first to be noticed. This girl is just such a person. Hey, Su Emo, it's Suji. At this time, Chu Shenxiu suddenly smiled evilly and patted Sumo's shoulder and said. Xia Ying turned around and looked at Chu Shenxiu, who is Suji? Suji is the school beauty of our Imperial University, Chu Shenxiu explained with a smile. She is the dream lover of thousands of young people in the Imperial City. She is very beautiful, isn't she? Xia Ying nodded. Well, it's a pity that our school beauty likes the guy next to me, but this guy has never appreciated it. The school beauty has been pursuing him for a year, and he has always been cold to me. Xia Ying looked at Suemo. Suemo looked embarrassed and whispered, she is as arrogant as a white swan. I can't afford to raise her. Xia Ying was amused by Sumo's metaphor. Haha, don't you like such a beautiful and outstanding girl? Actually, Suemo didn't just think so. Suji is beautiful, outstanding, and has an outstanding temperament. There will be no boys who don't like her. It wasn't that Suemo didn't have a crush on her, but that subtle crush had been strangled in the cradle before it developed into an ambiguous relationship. The more Suemo came into contact with Suji, the more he found her to be elusive. Suemo always felt that he couldn't see through Suji, and Suemo also felt that Suji didn't like him that much. Suji had more of an inexplicable possessiveness towards him. Suji didn't like Suemo coming into contact with other people, regardless of gender. Perhaps, this unique girl is different from others even when she likes someone. Suemo shook his head with a straight face and glanced at Suji in the classroom. Suji finished her song and noticed a few people in front of the window. So he raised his head and looked towards them. Xia Ying met Suji's gaze. Suemo was right. The cold and arrogant character revealed in those eyes was indeed not something that ordinary people could match. Suji is just like the temperament she exudes, reclusive and independent. She is more like a spotless fairy who is loved and obsessed with in people's hearts, but when she comes down to earth and is tainted with worldly love, it becomes a bit difficult to accept. Suji looked at Xia Ying for a long time. She probably knew Xia Ying, so she looked at her for so long. Finally, Suji turned his attention to Suemo standing aside. Suemo subconsciously took a step back and moved to the blind spot of Suji's vision, preventing her from seeing him. Chu Shenxiu saw Suemo like this and laughed at him mercilessly. Suemo, don't be afraid. Suemo shook his head helplessly. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 656. Chapter 656. Why gave up music? Suji withdrew her gaze and quietly started playing the piano, no longer paying attention to the actions of the people outside the window. Let's go. Xia Ying said. Xia Ying finally remembered Suji, the cool and stunning beauty of Imperial University. Her music, like her person, reveals a sense of alienation that keeps strangers away. After separating from Yu Lingfeng and the others, Xia Ying came to the dormitory alone. This was her first time staying in a hotel since she was a child, and she was quite excited. Not knowing what her roommate in college would be like, Xia Ying knocked on the dormitory door with this feeling in mind. The door is opened. Xiao Sun. Xia Ying was stunned for a moment. She thought she had seen it wrong. However, it was obvious that the next second, Ye Xiaoxun was still standing there, smiling at Xia Ying. Dang, it's me, am I surprised or excited? Ye Xiaoxun said, rushing forward and hugging Xia Ying. Xia Ying entered the dormitory, and before the shock could subside, she asked, but, how could it be such a coincidence? Of course it can't be such a coincidence. Before Ye Xiaoxun could answer Xia Ying's question, another cute girl sitting beside the bed with two tall braids answered for Ye Xiaoxun. Xia Ying looked around and was even more surprised. Tanguoer. In Xia Ying's opinion, didn't Tanguoer go to school abroad? However, Tanguoer was indeed in the same class as her, so there seemed to be nothing wrong with her getting admitted to Imperial University. I told the school in advance when I was arranging the dormitory I like you very much, so I hope to be your roommate, and I know that you and Yeziaksun are good friends, so we made arrangements together by the way. Tanguo raised her delicate little face and said to Xia Ying. How do you know that Xiaoxun and I are good friends? Xia Ying frowned. Because you are my idol, isn't it normal to know a little bit about your personal life? Tanguo looked at Xia Ying with stars and winked at her playfully, but you won't dislike me, right? Xia Ying looked at Tanguo's watery eyes and smiled lightly, of course not. Ha, that would be great. Tanguo jumped out of bed happily and approached Xia Ying. Miss Xia Ying, you are so beautiful. Tanguo stared at Xia Ying's eyebrows and said sweetly. Xia Ying smiled and said, from now on, we will work hard to learn music together. Xia Ying stretched out her hand towards Tanguo. Unexpectedly, Tanguo's sweet smile gradually stiffened, and her explanation became cold. I'm not from the music department. Xia Ying was confused, isn't it? Then what is your major? Xia Ying thought that a girl like Tanguo, who had been exposed to music since childhood and whose family also intended to train her in the direction of music, would definitely choose the music department, but she didn't expect that it was beyond her expectation. Pharmaceutical engineering. Tanguo said these words with certainty. Why, gave up music and chose this? Xia Ying had no idea about Tanguo's major. Because I like it? Tanguo looked up at Xia Ying and smiled sweetly. Of course, I won't give up music, it's just that at this moment, I have something I like more, Tanguo said meaningfully, and with you as my roommate, isn't it very convenient for me to take classes? Good. Xia Ying smiled faintly. Xia Ying stared at Tanguo's innocent eyes, and saw many complicated emotions in those eyes. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 657. Chapter 657. Miss me? What was the reason that made Tanguo give up studying music for more than 10 years and major in pharmaceutical engineering, which she had never been exposed to before? Xia Ying didn't think too deeply. After packing her things, she chatted with Yeziaksun and others about some interesting topics. By the way, who is the other roommate? Don't tell me it's Muniankai, right? Xia Ying said this and looked at the bed. However, the style doesn't look like Muniankai's at all. The scene inside the bed was completely invisible because it was surrounded by a dark curtain. The style of the entire dormitory is pink and warm, and the bed with black curtains looks particularly abrupt. It seems to belong to a senior student. Tanguo said, looking in the direction of the bed, I haven't seen it yet. Oh. Xia Ying nodded, but as soon as Xia Ying finished speaking, the dormitory door opened. A girl in a white dress burst into everyone's field of vision. Her hair was as long as her waist. She glanced indifferently in the direction of everyone without any expression or pause. Then he quickly changed his shoes, climbed into his bed, and closed the bed curtain to isolate himself from everything around him. This series of actions was so smooth that Xia Ying and the others stared at her dumbfounded. Tanguo even said hello, senior, with special enthusiasm. However, what she responded to was the sound of the bed curtain being closed, and the smile on Tanguo's face immediately stiffened. Xia Ying did not expect such a coincidence. That roommate was actually Suji. Suji is really a weird person. He doesn't like to talk, and he always gives people the appearance of not being around strangers. She is so beautiful. Yeziaksun said this in a low voice. Tanguo nodded dully. Suji was indeed very beautiful. Xia Ying looked at the bed with black curtains, wondering how she would interact with Suji in the future. On the first night of living on campus, Xia Ying managed to lose sleep. She was tossing and turning and couldn't fall asleep. She was a little uncomfortable with the bed, and it was her first time living on campus, so she was very uncomfortable with it. In the middle of the night, Xia Ying whispered the names of Tanguoer and Yeziaxuan, and the only response was her steady breathing. They were all asleep, but she was not sleepy at all. Xia Ying got out of bed and walked to the balcony. She thought she couldn't sleep, so she got up and blew in the wind to calm her mood. Maybe she would feel sleepy later. However, Xia Ying discovered sadly that the more the wind blew, the harder it seemed for her to sleep. Xia Ying looked back. It was very quiet. Everyone must have fallen asleep. Hence, Xia Ying began to call Yu Lingfeng's name in a low voice. After calling 3 times, Xia Ying only felt that the wind around her was getting stronger, but there was no other change at all. Did her voice be too quiet and Yu Lingfeng didn't hear it? Xia Ying thought so, and as soon as she turned around, she found a person standing straight behind her. Xia Ying's panicked eyes fell into Yu Lingfeng's deep eyes, and the corners of Yu Lingfeng's mouth curved slightly. Yu Lingfeng leaned down, holding the balcony railing with both hands, and held Xia Ying in his arms. He leaned over Xia Ying's ear and whispered in a low voice, "Miss me?" Yu Lingfeng's voice had a slight vibrato, and it was so charming that Xia Ying's ears couldn't help but feel hot. Xia Ying stretched out her hand and pushed Yu Lingfeng in front of her, but after feeling the strong muscles on Yu Lingfeng's chest, she quickly withdrew her hand in panic. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 658. Chapter 658. What do you want to do at night? Xia Ying's hands had nowhere to rest and could only hang in the middle, weakly preventing Yu Lingfeng from getting any closer. "No, I just have insomnia and can't sleep." "Then what did you ask me to do?" This answer was obviously not what Yu Lingfeng wanted to hear. "I can't sleep, bored." Xia Ying raised her head and looked into Yu Lingfeng's deep eyes. "What do you want to do at night?" Yu Lingfeng's words left Xia Ying completely speechless. The cool night wind blew Xia Ying's scattered long hair, and the fragrance that hit Xia Ying's body one after another stirred Yu Lingfeng's restless heart. Xia Ying didn't answer Yu Lingfeng's question for a long time, and the air around her became a little ambiguous at this moment. Yu Lingfeng put down his hand and took Xia Ying's wrist. "Where are you taking me?" Xia Ying looked at Yu Lingfeng with wide eyes and asked. "Sleep." Xia Ying frowned. "Sleep, sleep." Yu Lingfeng took Xia Ying's hand and led her to the door of the dormitory. He quietly opened the door and took Xia Ying to the castle. Before Xia Ying could realize what was happening, she turned around and saw that behind her was only the darkness inside the castle. Xia Ying almost forgot about Yu Lingfeng's skill. He can change time and space. So it was very easy to take her from the dormitory to the castle of Yu Lingfeng's family. Yu Lingfeng turned on the light, and Xia Ying was a little uncomfortable with the sudden dazzling light. Xia Ying frowned and took a long time to adjust to the discomfort in her eyes. Xia Ying looked at Yu Lingfeng, who was standing in front of her. Yu Lingfeng leaned down, and a handsome face magnified in front of Xia Ying. Xia Ying was stunned for a moment. "What's wrong?" "So, you humans have not evolved well, and your ability to adapt to the environment is too poor." Yu Lingfeng had a playful smile on her lips and reached out to rub Xia Ying's hair. "What?" Xia Ying was unhappy. "I don't think the people on your planet are that superior." Yu Lingfeng stood up straight and looked at Xia Ying with a faint smile. "Really?" Xia Ying glanced at Yu Lingfeng. "Okay," she denied it silently in her heart, but she still couldn't say it directly. "Let's go to bed." Yu Lingfeng took Xia Ying's hand and led her to the direction of the bedroom. "By the way, Yu Lingfeng, if you have a chance, can you take me to your planet?" Yu Lingfeng paused. Xia Ying poked Yu Lingfeng's back and asked in a low voice, "Isn't it okay?" "Actually, there's nothing good to see." Yu Lingfeng turned sideways, looked into Xia Ying's starry eyes and said, "But it's the place where you lived and where you grew up, so I still want to see it." Xia Ying continued, "Do the people on your planet have the superpowers you have?" "No." Yu Lingfeng said, Everyone has innate and different abilities, but they are not all the same. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng walked to the bedroom and lay down on the comfortable big bed, but Xia Ying still had no desire to sleep. Instead, she pestered Yu Lingfeng and asked many questions about him. Yu Lingfeng, do you have any brothers or sisters? Yu Lingfeng originally thought that Xia Ying was ready to fall asleep, but after a moment of silence, she came closer to him again and asked such a question. Well, I have an older brother. Wow! Xia Ying was surprised that Yu Lingfeng actually had an older brother. She didn't know what kind of person he would be. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 659. Chapter 659 The Miraculous Doctor, the heroine Xia Ying. So how are you on your relationship? Yu Lingfeng was silent for a long time and did not answer this question. Because the light was dim at night, Xia Ying couldn't see the expression on Yu Lingfeng's face at all, but she could faintly feel that Yu Lingfeng seemed reluctant to mention this brother. I remember you told me that there is no family relationship on your planet, so are you and your brother the same as strangers? Xia Ying stared at Yu Lingfeng with watery eyes and asked. Yu Lingfeng just stretched out his hand, hugged Xia Ying to his side, closed his eyes, go to sleep. Oh. Xia Ying saw that Yu Lingfeng had no intention of answering, so she didn't delve deeper. Xia Ying hugged Yu Lingfeng and buried her head on Yu Lingfeng's chest. Yu Lingfeng's body temperature was lower than that of ordinary people. In summer, he was like a walking refrigerator, keeping his body warm and cool. When Xia Ying woke up the next day, she opened her eyes and found herself on the bed in the dormitory. Xia Ying suddenly sat up and looked around, confirming that she was indeed in the dormitory. But beside him, there was no Yu Lingfeng. Xia Ying thought that Yu Lingfeng probably sent her out in the early morning. Sakura, you're awake. Yeziaksun was reading a book at the windowsill. He glanced back and happened to see Xia Ying sitting on the bed. Yeziaksun is used to getting up early, so even if it is not time for class yet, he gets up early and reads a book. Xia Ying looked at the time. She slept until 9 o'clock. It seemed that she had slept too late last night. Xia Ying, I bought you breakfast. At this time, the bedroom door opened. Tanguo was wearing a pink skirt and a pair of cute Japanese leather shoes. Her ponytail swayed from side to side as she walked, very playful and smart. Thanks. Xia Ying got up and subconsciously glanced at the black bed curtain. Is Suji gone? Yes, she seemed to have gone out early. Tanguo continued her conversation while sharing the breakfast. Then she sat aside and ate, leaving a portion for Xia Ying. Well, the dining hall in the imperial capital really deserves its reputation. It's delicious. Tanguo's cheeks were stuffed and he said happily. Xia Ying was washing up in the bathroom, while Yeziaksun and Tanguo kept talking to each other. Tanguo turned on her phone and was scrolling through Weibo. At this time, her attention was attracted by the hot search list on Weibo. The Great Doctor heroine Xia Ying. Tanguo's eyes lit up, and she clicked in to take a look. Some time ago, there was a lot of online voting for the heroines of The Great Doctor. Now, after 3 months, the top 3 most popular ones have been selected. Among them, Xia Ying ranked first in popularity with a crushing advantage. Yin Wu, the heroine of The Great Doctor, is a beautiful, talented, and resourceful person. The description of her in the novel is almost like Mary Su, a super-perfect beauty in the prosperous times. The male protagonist Feng Zhuili, the second male lead Marquis Jing, and the third male Linguo Emperor all have a soft spot for her. Yin Wu's first sweetheart was actually Lord Jing, but he was forced to marry Feng Zhuili, who was still the heir apparent at the time. However, After many years of getting along with the prince, Wu finally fell in love with this tough and tender man. In the end, Feng Zhuili became a powerful emperor, and Yin Wu became the queen. At the same time, he was also a world-famous miracle doctor. Thanks to the little cuties still believe and 1530140 for the reward. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 660. Chapter 660. No one is more suitable for Yin Wu than you. There is no dispute about my beauty, Sakura, right? And I, Sakura, was very good at acting when I was little, okay. Hey, I look forward to Yingying playing the role of Yin Wu. Ah. Xia Ying is my three-dimensional goddess, and Yin Wu is my two-dimensional goddess. Can the director really let Xia Ying play the role of Yin Wu? Xia Ying and Yin are worry-free, Jun Chen Yifeng is extremely strong, there is nothing wrong with you. Jun Chenai is still filming Death Escape, so there is no schedule. No matter what, if Yin Wu is not Xia Ying, I won't watch it. Can I say that when I read the novel, I was acting as Xia Ying? I look forward to it. Tang Guo took advantage of the situation and took a look at the list of male protagonists. The number one male protagonist was of course Jun Chenai. As long as there is this kind of voting by netizens and there is a list of Jun Chenai's name, it is meaningless. Jun Chenai's fans will rise up and let him be the first. Regardless of whether it's a good fit or not, Jun Chen wants to dominate the rankings, but they can't be ranked second. Therefore, it is expected that Jun Chenai ranks first. Tang Guo sighed. Just at this time, Xia Ying finished washing and walked to the table, ready to have breakfast with Tang Guo. Xia Ying, look at Weibo. Tang Guo reminded. Xia Ying had just taken a bite of the bun. When she heard Tang Guo's words, she took out her phone and asked, "What's wrong with Weibo? Did something happen again?" Netizens voted you to be the heroine of the movie version of The Great Doctor. Tang Guo said. The Great Doctor is undoubtedly the most anticipated super IP this year. Last year, the TV version's ratings soared, ranking first in the year's ratings. Moreover, the male and female protagonists have also successfully risen to the forefront, and many supporting roles have become popular. The entire drama has also won many awards, including word-of-mouth trophies. Therefore, the movie version is naturally also highly anticipated. In addition to the original plot, the movie version also adds some extras that are not found in the drama version. Fans of the original book are naturally crazy about watching it. Xia Ying frowned as she looked at the comments on the internet. She has no plans to enter the entertainment industry, but she has thought about opening a record company in the future to discover new singers who have been buried. As for becoming an actor in the entertainment industry, Xia Ying has never thought about it. She naturally has acting skills and strength, after all, she was a movie queen in her previous life. But it is because I saw so much blood in the entertainment industry in my previous life that I am unwilling to get involved in this life. But she never imagined that even though she was so good nature, this fire would still burn her. I guess it won't be long before the director will start contacting her. I have read the original novel and it is very well written. I think you can give it a try. Tang Guo herself, as a fan, also hopes that Xia Ying can restore that role. Actually, I don't really want to act. Xia Ying seemed a little embarrassed as soon as Xia Ying finished speaking. Feeling the coldness on her back, Xia Ying turned around and saw Ye Xiaoxun standing behind her in a daze, saying with a straight face, "Xia Ying, no one is more suitable for Yin Wu than you." In fact, during the drama version, Ye Xiaoxun had imagined that it would be better if Xia Ying played Yin Wu. The drama version of Yin Wu is indeed good at acting, but was initially criticized for not being good enough to watch. Fortunately, the plot is online, and netizens are gradually becoming less harsh and focusing on watching the drama. But if Xia Ying plays the role, it will fit the original image 360 degrees without any blind spots. In Yezioksun's heart, if Yanwu must be presented in a three-dimensional form, only Xia Ying can interpret the essence of this character. End of this chapter.